My name is Lori Thomas. I'm the Senior Clinical Program Director of Surgery, the Ambulatory Care Clinics, the Orthopedic and Mobility Program, and the Bariatric Center of Excellence at Unity Health Toronto. We waste an awful lot in the operating rooms, a lot of disposables, and for many years we had looked at options of going back to reusable supplies within the operating room. And then there was a big conversion to disposables many years ago, and the accumulation was quite significant. So what we wanted to do is take a really good look and see, how we can decrease our environmental footprint and how we could take responsibility for that. We noticed there was a large amount of garbage, a lot of waste that was going out on a day-to-day basis, and we weren't really quite sure what to do with that. And so we had identified the problem, we just needed to find a solution. For many years, there weren't a lot of vendors who you could partner with to work towards sustainability solutions. And when we did find some of the partners like Stryker Sustainability about 8 years ago now, that was a turning moment for us. That was a big game changer. As I moved into administrative roles within the hospital, really thought this was a great opportunity to partner with Stryker Sustainability and to come up with something that was able to prevent all that waste from going into the environment, into the garbage, and then also looking for other opportunities that were more permanent. Worked with a lot of different procurement teams over the years, and I had known a lot of the vendors, and we had been asking around for quite a long time. Some of the other provinces like British Columbia had made a lot of advances with regards to sustainable solutions, and so we were very fortunate that this started to change a little bit with different vendors. So from communicating with different vendors, certain programs came to light. They really weren't a full, comprehensive sustainability program, but they started to gain Health Canada approval and medical device licensing that then opened up that door for the discussion with our procurement teams. We refer to it as reprocessing essentially, but it is a remanufacturing. And what it essentially does is that it takes that initial device that was generated and manufactured, and it reworks it. A lot of times it makes process improvements to it as well. But it goes through a strict disinfectant process and then a remanufacturing. They basically put the medical device back together again. And then it goes through a series of tests and trials. And there's a fantastic white paper with regards to medical devices. A lot of companies, when they first manufacture an original device, they do what's called batch testing to test for failure rates. And what I really appreciated about the sustainability initiatives and procurement laws and with regards to Health Canada legislation is that they don't do batch testing. They have to test every single device. And so the risk of failure has decreased significantly with reprocessed or remanufactured devices. You can start off slowly. You can just deposit your used device. So the company will come in, they will pick up that container that you've stored all of those used medical devices in. They will give someone employment within your community, which is always a good thing. So it generates employment, and then it doesn't increase the workload for the hospital either. Many hospitals, we pay by weight to dispose of our waste, so it decreases that footprint as well and those costs. Now you can just have a collection-based system, or you can purchase back those medical devices as well. And typically when you purchase those medical devices back, it's at a significantly reduced cost in comparison to the originally manufactured device. I think a lot of people think that just medical devices such as energy devices, harmonic scalpel, or anything that's like a ligature, they don't remanufacture anything like a stapler, for instance, which would be a high risk for failure. I think there's a lot of other devices that hospitals in particular may not be aware of. Trocars, for instance, for laparoscopic surgery. We perform an awful lot of laparoscopic surgery now for many, many years, and there's a huge waste that's generated with disposable trocars. there are sleeves that the companies can remanufacture as well, and they reprocess those. And that's great because a lot of plastic is generated, and it typically would go into the landfill. And so I don't think a lot of people are aware that you can reprocess those sleeves as well. I think educating ourselves on what remanufactured or reprocessed from a third party look like. I think also having a lot of conversations with the end users, which is the surgeons, making sure we had good buy-in. I think as well engaging teams like IPAC, your infection control teams, risk management as well, to look at the risks and really have a thorough look at what the intention was, what the value add was, and what we could mitigate. We also engage our procurement team and our materials management to really have a good understanding and a review of what contracts we had in place and would that impact our existing partnerships with existing vendors, and what would be the impact then of bringing in a third party. I think when there is change, it's inevitable there will be some barriers and there will be some individuals who don't necessarily agree with the change that you're trying to make. And so I think it's important to understand the value add and stay focused on what you're trying to achieve. And a lot of times with sustainability, you have to be agreeable to starting something small, like bring your own plastic bag, bring your own reusable bag instead of using plastic bags, for instance. So I think it's starting small, engaging really early in the process, the end users, all of the stakeholders, such as the surgeons and nursing, MDRD, infection control, the vendor themselves to provide support, the hospital executive, the communications team, and I think just every single person that you come along with regards to materials management, and just allowing people to ask as many questions as possible, and then trying to socialize the change well before you get to the stage rather of having a longer term sustainable impact. The difference between batch testing versus individual testing, I find that increases your confidence in the validity of the product. It gives a little bit more of a buy-in and credibility that I appreciated from a patient safety perspective. And I also, the cost savings, we're very concerned with cost in the healthcare system as a whole. And I think it's really important that we spend taxpayer dollars wisely. For us, especially at Unity, it aligns nicely with our mission and vision and values. And I think that being able to save costs on one area of care allows us then to provide care in a different area. I think that a lot of hospitals haven't caught on yet to the quality aspect in sustainability and the value add. It's beyond the cost. It's also from the environmental aspect of it as well. And I think that it's everyone's responsibility to prevent or to try to make things better. And I think that's what we try to do in healthcare, and I think it's also what we try to do with sustainability implementations and initiatives. And I think that a lot of hospitals just haven't caught on yet because they have a lot of competing priorities. It's post-COVID, surgical recovery, and making sure we have equitable access to care. But I do think now that that they're starting to see the value. And I think it's a lot of hard work as well. It is an enormous amount of work, and I think hospitals need the support of organizations like Cascades, and I think they need to build a knowledge base and spread the word and share. I think hospitals need to do, we need to do a better job of sharing our success stories so that others will develop an interest. And I think it really truly just takes time for everybody to catch on and to get engaged so that we do see some long-term sustainable results. I would tell anybody who is interested in getting involved in any kind of sustainable initiative is to make sure you have a good team. Organize yourselves a really good team, and be aware that it will take time and it is a lot of work, but it is valuable work, and you have to make it a priority. And also engage with another hospital that perhaps has implemented, so that you have a partner who can kind of direct you and guide you a little bit, and be prepared to fail. not always every time that you try something from a sustainable lens is it going to be successful. And I think we have to be a little bit comfortable in that, and knowing that, you know, over time you can develop better strategies, and you do get better at sustainability. It takes a lot of practice. And reach out to resources. Make sure you have good resources available that can guide you through the process. It's always a benefit to patient care when we can be responsible and accountable for any kind of waste that we've generated within healthcare. I also think there's such a great interest now from a quality lens with regards to sustainability that's also key, because it's quality care. Is it, you know, from a sustainability perspective, you can't go wrong.